Excellent. This is our Thursday probateweekly.com program. We get together every week. We get investors who are new, experienced investors, but also real estate agents and people who are looking at wholesale flip properties who want to learn about wholesale, who want to learn about probate business. My specialty, I've been in real estate for 36 years, but I focus 100% on probate for lead generation. I'm not selling coaching, I don't sell any product other than sell the American dream. If you work hard, if you focus on probate, you can make a lot of money. If you work in real estate today, you can also build income and build wealth. And so I'm really excited to have you guys here. Before I introduce our guests, I just make a quick pitch to everybody on the call. If you're in the Southern California area, fantastic event this Sunday, the LA Grand Expo. It's free. Parking's free. It's a great venue at the Screwball Museum, right at the 405 freeway. Now, bad news is it's Sunday. Bad news is that's Halloween, but 9 to 6. I never work on Sundays. I do computer work for a couple hours. I'm going to go. I'm going to go dress for business and be there for about 3 or 4 hours. Encourage anybody there who's looking to do some business, lead generation, to be there. If you're a vendor, if you're a wholesaler, you want to meet vendors, you want to meet investors, you want to meet real estate agents. Great place to be. If you're a real estate agent, buyers and sellers will be there. I think I mentioned it's free. I may have mentioned to you the parking's free. We'll have a table there as EXP Realty and look forward. Hopefully you'll come. I'll be there probably from 12 to 3. So if you are planning to be there, come by and say hi. I'd love to meet you. Grab a cup of coffee or something while you're there in the spot. So there you go. A little something for that. And we end the share. Stop the share. Okay, good. So hope you guys can join for that. But I think it's a great event. I get nothing for it. I'm just a vendor. I would love to meet you in person. So that's my only interest in that. So I hope you guys can make it. Now, affiliated with that, the reason why we have our guests here today is because of related to that event. That event has 3 sponsors. One of them is Lloyd Siegel, who has the LA Real Estate Investment Club, or LAProbate. And he used to do a monthly event, which I thought was the best event in Southern California monthly for real estate. It was at the Olympic Collection on Olympic Boulevard near Sepulveda. It was once a month, and there'd be about 250 people there. And again, I don't work after hours. I work hard from 8 o'clock to 5 or 6, 5 days a week, so that I don't have to go out at night. I have a family, I have a grandson. I don't want to work at night, but I would go to that event once a month because it was so valuable. He held the event 2 weeks ago. I went. It was fantastic, 250 people, even post-COVID. You can take your mask off, actually. Don't tell anybody. 250 people at the event. It was fantastic. We met some great vendors, some great real estate agents, some great investors and wholesalers. Hopefully I was there to help people as well. One of the vendors I saw there introduced me to our guest today. And that's why I go to these events mostly, is to meet the professionals and meet the vendors who are there, because I find they can be very valuable to my business. So I was introduced to a company, True Trust Service, through one of the vendors at the event last Thursday that will be at the upcoming event on Sunday. And what was intriguing to me was not just their service or product, but the fact they're so involved with real estate investing. And as you know, probate, as a real estate agent, I'm constantly working with investors, either investors want me to help them find property, or investors who find problem property and need me to help fix it, or I'm a listing agent and investors want buying it to fix it and flip it most of the time. And so I work with investors all the time. That's really my basic client. I don't usually work with people buying warranties, and I'm not sending pizza to my buyers after the property closes. That's not my business. But I met these guys at the event, and I was really, I met them through the people I met at the event. I'm very impressed with their centrality and involvement with very successful real estate investors. And one thing I know is success leaves clues. So I had a chance to give Eric a call at True Trust Services. We had a chance to chat a little bit. I just wanted to bring you here to our call. Now, one thing I want to say, I get asked all the time by agents, what does this have to do with probate? And the question they're really asking is, well, this guy's not going to list with me, so why am I talking to him? And the answer is, part of the key to this is learning the business so you can bring value to your customers when the opportunity presents itself. That's what I do. I'm always looking to network with people like this. I hope you'll find it interesting today. And so on behalf of True Trust Services, I invited Eric to join us, and he brought along his team. Eric, how you doing?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for the invite. It's always nice and exciting to meet fellow investors, fellow real estate agents. And it's always good. And we do have a mutual friend, so it's always good to connect with the like-minded individuals, because we're all in the industry to make good money and to do it the right way and to find a sustainable method to continue that over and over. And with that said, we have a unique service that we have been doing for quite a while. My mentor, EJ, he's going to be the one conducting our presentation today. He's the one that's been doing private asset protection and trust. And give you a little background on him, he was a real estate broker out in Las Vegas. He had a whole bunch of agents. He worked for Berkshire Hathaway. Well, actually, he sold his firm to Berkshire Hathaway. And he was doing a lot of trust and a lot of real estate. And he found out that he can actually make a sizable gain just by focusing on trust. And with that said, I will introduce EJ. He's the author of a few books, and he's very, very wise in how to structure your life, how to structure your business, and just how to make more money. With that said, EJ, if you're there.
Hello. I don't know if people can hear me. My video isn't working because I'm in a place with low connectivity. So it's automatically restricting because of bandwidth. At any rate, here we are. Yeah, I started off in real estate. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. I love real estate. I thought it was one of the 5 ways to get ahead in life that would be enjoyable to make serious money. And, having your own business is what it is, real estate. You work hard, you should be able to make some serious money. And if you don't want to work the hours, then, marry somebody who does. The idea that you can, buy and sell in real estate basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, goes along with the way we believe about customer support. We're open 7 days a week, every day of the year. And we even dare people to call us on Christmas, and I dare probably 200 people a year. And I magically only get 2 calls a year on Christmas, which they shock themselves when we answer the phone. We really believe in communication. That makes everything easier. And even though I'm on the keyboard a lot of hours per day, I'm a lousy typist. I'm a great cut and paste person, but I do a lot of wonderful things, sometimes 18 hours a day on the computer. But when somebody asks me a question on email, I'm always aggravated because I say to myself, what if this is too short of an answer? What if it's too long of an answer? And if it's too long of an answer, it's going to take me, 20 minutes to craft the answer to a single question. I'd much rather just talk to them and make sure that they feel comfortable with the answer. And if not, give them, more detail. So we believe in phone calls over emails, and we believe in emails over any other method. In fact, I don't even get text messages because we go through a switchboard. And at first we saw 600 messages a day coming into the switchboard, and so I ended up having 3 kids go through those, trying to figure out who it was that were sending us email or text messages, and we couldn't figure it out because half those phone numbers we'd never heard of before. So we couldn't even communicate. It became totally worthless. Plus, I've never heard of anybody ever making any money off of Facebook or text messages or Twitter or some of the other ones out there. I'm shocked when they don't communicate. At any rate, you're talking about the different types of trust. There's over 100 different types of trusts, and most of them are different because they have a specific purpose. They want to help you with estate taxes, or with property taxes not being raised upon death, or they want to help you with capital gains, or to prevent your kids from spending the money and going out and buying Corvettes on day one, or perhaps protecting you from the children who end up getting into bad relationships, or they're not competent yet. Maybe they're still immature or still experimenting with different things. You need to know that most people would want to have protection against those different things. We have a brochure that, yeah, go ahead.
So we have the video of you just to make it a little more interesting. I did go on your website before we started today, and you guys have a great chart that lays out benefits of somebody's different opportunities if they want to protect their assets of a will versus a private asset trust versus a living trust. And I know that the biggest misconception people have about this topic is a will protect their asset after they pass. Can you share a little bit about the differences between the after-death benefits of, say, a private trust and will and a living trust, and why a private asset trust is something they need to take a look at?
Yeah, and that chart is probably the very best way to see the differences blatantly. It gives the core of all the differences. And, I like people to really understand from the beginning what we're talking about. I mean, there's wills, there's trusts, there's LLCs and corporations, but some of those are misworded or misdefined in my mind. To start as a very basic understanding of life, I think you need to know that a will shouldn't be called a will. A will should be called a want, because you want the court, after they spend all your money and after they take and drag it out for a year or two, and after they give something to somebody that already got it, or they shouldn't be getting anything, after they argue over that, and then they, your estate gets cut down by half or more, then everybody settles and gets pissed off, and that's what happens. So that's to me a want. A living trust is also a joke, because first of all, it says it's a living trust, but it doesn't do a damn thing for you while you're alive. It's 000 protection. It's 000 tax affecting. It's a false flag. And living trust should really be called a death trust, because upon your death, it actually works. The problem with that, though, is that you miss out on all the protection you could have had during your life. You miss out on the safety from lawsuits. You miss out from testing it to see that it works the way you want, and you don't have a complete guarantee that it's going to work the way you want. Some so-called living trusts, which by the way are also called family trusts or revocable trusts, it's all the same thing: living, family, revocable, or any combination of those words. Those trusts are sometimes subject to probate as well.
Right.
So to really have protection, you need a private asset protection trust, which what we've done to get that put together is we went through all the benefits and liabilities of hundreds of different types of trusts and came up with the best features of all. And because it's a contract, you can basically put anything you want in there. You can even put something illegal in there, and it doesn't invalidate the whole trust. It only invalidates the illegal portion. For instance, a lot of golf courses and mortgages have a clause in there regarding only selling to a certain race or not selling to a certain race. And believe it or not, those agreements are still 100% valid, with the exception of the illegal portion. So there's a lot more flexibility and safety, and even safety from your own mistakes into a private asset protection trust. And that's a major for people who just have a hard time getting comfortable with contracts or making agreements. And we've done over 49,000 trusts. We've never had a trust broken. We've never had a trust lose an asset. The idea of having these tested in the courts is they're more agreeable to the courts. The courts, they don't have the greedy purpose of a corporation of making money. They're, is on their face, on their basic reason for existing. They have the comforting to the court idea of protecting the children and the seniors and the alcoholics and the unforeseen circumstances. So the courts are a lot more friendly to trust than they are LLCs and corporations.
Just FYI, literally as we speak, on my other computer, I'm an expert witness on a trial that's a trust. And because of the way it was worded, there's some litigation going on how these are handled. So having gone to probate court, almost daily before COVID and still very involved, I think a living trust is a great alternative to nothing, but it certainly is not as foolproof as people think. I think you're 100% right. Can you talk a little bit about the advantage of using a private asset trust for a real estate investor who's going to buy multiple properties and buy them and or flip them or sell them or keep some? How does the private asset trust become a better solution than, say, an LLC or a living trust?
Well, first of all, a LLC or a corporation is only legally valid one state at a time. So
Ooh.
you might get away with it, and it might work out okay if you live in one state and have a trust from another, or a LLC from another state. But if the state finds out, they can charge you double fees and double penalties. And if you threaten to shut it down, they can even tell you that, well, actually you committed a crime, and it's tax evasion if you don't take and pay those fees. As they're getting more interconnected state to state, this is becoming more of a revenue chasing event than it ever was in the past. Also, they make their own rules. You're only existing because of the permission of the state, and they pass roughly 700 laws a year, of which that can really mess you up as to stuff you don't realize that they changed. The idea of having a private asset protection trust is that it's valid everywhere, even in other countries. So that makes a difference. The other big issue that you mentioned is because you're doing, most people that we're talking to are doing multiple properties, or even just have multiple assets. I mean, if you just had a stock account and 2 cars and a bank account and a house, and possibly a coin collection or a lot of furniture, especially if you have a business, it'd be nice to have separation between those. And having separation between those could be critical, because if your business gets sued, or one of your friends borrows your car and goes out and hits a tree or a light pole that takes out the power for 1,500 houses, you are liable to pay for that. And that means every asset you have. And if you have all those assets in the same entity, such as yourself, of course, or an LLC, or a corporation, or even a trust, if they're all in the same trust or organization, everything's at risk. You better defend that successfully, or you could lose it all. Same thing goes if you have a health problem. Most people at the end of their life have very high medical bills, a lot of times being denied by Obamacare or one of the other insurance companies that don't want to pay. And consequently, the excess falls on you. My brother ended up having to pay $500,000 a week for the last 6 weeks he was alive. And yet when he died, they couldn't get it from him because we had protected him. They couldn't get it from my mom, which they normally can. They can get it from your parents or your children, your medical bills, or they even tried to get it from brothers and sisters. So the idea, what we do is we put, not only do we put it into a private asset protection trust, but we separate them into separate ones. So instead of having a document that's 100 pages long, our documents are typically 10 or so pages long, and they're only talking about one asset at a time. So your 4 investments are in 4 separate trusts, and it'd be easy to manage any one of them because I mean, they all operate the same. They all do the same exact thing. It's just even though somebody knows you own 4 properties and somebody gets pushed off the porch on one of them, they can certainly sue that one trust, but they have no logical reason or ability to penetrate the next door rental that you also own, that they see you collect the rents on. Even though you might put all those rents into the same bank account, they have no way whatsoever to penetrate other trusts, including, of course, your house or your metals account or your bank account or anything. And they don't even know what your other assets are, because that's not something that the court would allow them to discover, since they have no bearing on what's going on. There happens to be another super benefit that nobody realized at first, and we quickly exploited, and that is the fact that since each one of your properties are in separate ownership, you can sell the property or trade it, exchange it, do whatever you want, or you could trade the entity or sell the entity, which means no capital gains whatsoever, no change in property taxes, no recording a new deed, no worries about the way they're going to change the estate taxes, which they do quite often over the years.
Right.
So that benefit is extreme. In fact, we do about 5 or so cars per week, where we save as much as $2,500 per car, because there's no sales transfer tax, there's no loss of the license plates already on the vehicle, there's no standing in line at the DMV for 3 hours, if you can even get an appointment today.
That's a lot of
none
fun,
of
by
that.
the way. You may have done that lately. Staying in line at the DMV in LA, it goes around the corner, around the street. It's just crazy, the lines.
Yeah, so you don't have to even go to any of the agencies to re-record the title, since the title doesn't change. Either the 1313 Flower Street Trust still owns that property. You just changed managers and beneficiaries, or the same thing on the car. The 2022 Mercedes Holding Trust continues to be the owner. You just gave control and beneficial change to the people that now hold that document. You hand the document with a change in it to the new people, and they give you the cash, and everybody goes on with life. So the license plates stay the same. You change the insurance, let them pay the insurance instead of you, and it's done. So a lot of our clients have 8 or 10, 12, 15 trusts, because each one has its own folder, and that, which you have anyway on real estate properties. You got a folder for each one. So it's just another document, like an LLC that owns it, or in this case, a trust that owns it. So it's very easy to manage, and we don't charge extra for that. The way we work is basically we quote a single fee as a complete package to do everything you want. So if you have 4 properties and you start switch them around or flipping them, we don't charge. Every phone call is not there to make a sale and to charge you more. Doing the extra trust is very simple for us. It's almost a cookie cutter event, because we do them the same way we did the last one. It's not much of a change. So with 15 minutes, you can have a new trust.
Now, these are obviously very complicated issues and questions that involve tax law, that involve law, that involve taxes. Where do advisors come in this process? Is that part of your team, or does somebody who has their own accountant and or attorney connect with your service to implement kind of plan? Or how do you see that working together?
Well, we have approximately 15 people, most of them with us longer than 10 years, 4 attorneys, 2 ex-IRS agents. We're not doing anything we haven't been doing for 40 years, so it's not like very many new issues come up.
Right.
Sometimes there's a certain state that has passed some new certain law that they want to make everybody do a certain way. Like, for instance, Ohio, they made us put the tax exempt portion of the statement on the deed. We had to move it down to the bottom, and because they wanted a signature underneath that portion as well as a signature on the deed, which doesn't make any sense, but they felt it did, so we had to change our deeds in that state. In some states like Louisiana, which goes off of French law instead of American law as their basis, they have some strange things, and of course New York has got not only federal, but they got state and sometimes county and city to deal with. It's things like that. I mean, in the old days, you could record a napkin if you want to go to the recorder's office and record anything. Today, they want everything to fit into the Big Brother surveillance situation. So they make you have a all type 12 point or higher, and at least an inch on the sides and an inch and a quarter on the bottom and 3.5 inches on the top. Strange things that, some of them make sense, some don't. But at any rate, now they're trying to actually define who lives in the property versus who owns the property. So we have to deal with that. And we've got techniques for that. The people that already have a living trust, we also have a technique to convert that into a private asset protection trust, usually without any recording, which then gives them the benefits that they wanted to have in the first place that they really now get. So, we're always concerned about capital gains issues and step up and basis issues and stuff, which you have more flexibility on a trust with step up and basis too, which could be a huge savings.
Huge savings.
Usually the step up and basis is done when somebody dies, or sometimes when they put it in trust, or sometimes when it's converted into a new type of trust. So that could be a huge savings, and we walk people through those things. And the big issue, of course, is having that instant communication where they don't have to wait for somebody to get out of court in 2 weeks to call them back. Our people, we actually communicate all the time very easily.
But what's the threshold where somebody should be looking at your service, and what's the most common typical client estate look like when they get involved with true trust?
Well, initially the first 20 years we were around or so, there was no commonality in type of client. Half of our clients were broke because they've been devastated and hadn't taken protection already, or divorce, or a bankruptcy, or you got destroyed in business or whatever. That has changed over the years. Now, instead of having 50% of our clients as broke people trying to get back on their feet or protect the future, now that's reduced quite a bit. I'd say that now we only have 10% or less of our clients coming to us are broke. As far as the the middle class and the upper class, the middle class is being devastated left and right because of so many different issues. And so a lot of them are more interested in doing business. And we're starting to get a few more rich clients. We've got probably 20 clients that have more than 10 properties. We've got at least 10 clients that are making at least $1 million a month, let alone a year. So, we do have, and we have a family plan for families that have a lot of demands on the money makers. They're always calling up and say, I want to buy a Corvette, or, I'm thinking of getting married. Give me the 10,000 now, because we have, all this other stuff. They don't want to take those kinds of questions. Plus, they want these people to become more mature. So we're getting a lot more people that are talking about the family plan, where they can simply tell everybody, talk to True Trust. They handle everything. It takes the pressure off of their family relations, and that way they don't have to say no to some of the silly requests. Plus, they don't have to answer the complex questions. And then what we do is we do what the trustees of that trust. We don't normally make all those decisions. We normally field the questions and answers and tell them what should normally happen. And then we talk to the people that are controlling the trust, the ones that made the money, and we're asking them for direction on how they want to go forward. And we make sure that it takes all the pressure off of them. Instead of 30 people calling them, the 30 people have the opportunity to call us. And once they realize they can't bully us around, they reduce their calls. We don't get so many. And if they get pissed off at us, it doesn't hurt anybody. Nobody cares, because we're there to satisfy the family, not the individual spoiled brats of the family.
Got it. So, I think I know the answer to the next question I would ask is, if I wanted more information about the company in general, you guys have a pretty detailed website that talks about the product and the advantages of it. For those on the call today, it isn't my expectation that all of you or most of you will be customers, but I think some of you should look at this additional opportunity as a tool to protect your wealth and to limit your taxes. But you also have clients you're going to come across, or more importantly, even prospects who own multiple properties. And I see them every day, literally today, closing a deal with a family that owned 2 properties, no trust, nothing, that really need to take a look at this. So my purpose was to introduce this tool to you and to give you the chance to learn about it. And here you have, obviously, on the phone, EJ, who's an expert in this product, as well as a couple members of his team. So here's your chance. If you have a question, just jump to the chat box and put the question there. There's no dumb questions, because if you don't understand it, I assure you somebody else also would understand it. And if you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, we're streaming this to, if you type it in there as well, I'm sure I'll see the question, or even if you're seeing this on demand later, I'll do my best to route it back to EJ and or his team to get an answer from you. But here's a chance to jump in with any questions, and I have one. Let me just see here real quick from JR St. Julian. Hey, JR, just met you on the call earlier when we started. And so his question, EJ, is, do you still recommend a will be put in place, or is this a catch-all that does not require a will?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a want that people want to call a will. Nothing wrong with having it. It's a good standby device. And the reason it's good is because if you had everything done our way, the way we suggest, everything protected and separated, you probably are 100% fine. But it wouldn't hurt to have a will, because if you got hit by a train and your estate sued them for improper crossing warnings or some other stupidity where they could be found at fault, they might get $10 million. on that. Consequently, the will would actually handle that portion of your estate. It still wouldn't have any effect on the stuff we handled and protected. Also, it might make you look more needy, because if they saw that you had 10 houses and other assets like they would normally see, they might not be so ready to give you the $10 million. So yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have a will. We provide that as part of our service. We also do what's called a statement of wishes, which is a kind of just a paragraph or 2 or 3 or 10 of your hopes and dreams for how everything is handled after you're gone. We even have some people that do a so-called living revocable family trust as part of our package, which we don't charge extra for, just to cover silly stuff, miscellaneous other, something we might have missed or you might have acquired the day before you died. So that would be handled through there instead of the will. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with having those things. The importance of having them, I don't even bother with them for myself. I don't bother with them I don't know of any of our staff members that have those things. But everybody wants to have total comfort. It doesn't cost extra, so we do it for anybody that asks. We also provide healthcare power of attorney and healthcare directives and healthcare additional advice and some resources. Like a lot of people were really upset with Obamacare. We like to call it Obama No Care, because they can turn down anything they want and screw you up. Whereas we have 3 resources that are healthcare cooperatives. Technically, they're not healthcare insurance, although they operate in most people's world just like insurance. Other than you pay for it up front, get a discount on the service for cash, which means you can use any doctor in the world. That's another benefit. Keep your doctor thing that they promised and failed on, like other failures. But once you pay for it and get a good deal for it, then you just give the bill to the healthcare cooperative and they pay you back. So whether it be weekly, monthly, annually, and they have deductibles and stuff just like regular insurance, although their deductibles are less. And the fact that you did feel it was necessary care, I don't know of any that were ever turned down for any of the care that they got, which my mom, when she went in for emergency, walked into a medical facility that was 2 blocks from her house. They made her sit there for 8 hours while they arranged an ambulance to take her to another hospital and then the first hospital that didn't give her any care sent her a bill for $1,800 for sitting there for all those hours. And they actually turned down the request on Obamacare because she didn't call them first. You have to call them first, even in an emergency, in order to get permission to have care. So she was responsible for the ambulance that transported her from one hospital to the other.
Wow.
So, silly stuff.
Another question we got, are you saying a living trust being used by an average homeowner is a bad choice? In this case,
it's almost a worthless choice. I mean, it's like, again, if you just use the word will instead, it's definitely worthwhile. It's just not beneficial at all while you're alive, other than it helps organize your thoughts. I mean, some people, they call us very few, but some and a lot of people that don't do estate planning because they don't want to touch the word death or think about it even. I understand that. Whereas we just, talk about it as a day-to-day word like everything else, that we're all going to die at some point, although I plan not to. That's my estate plan is not to die. On the other hand, it's a possibility I could be wrong. So far, so good. I have no reason to worry. There's no reason to believe I'm wrong. But at any rate, the fact that you have a plan and you think about these things, and we just throw those things right up in front of you. I mean, our questionnaire says, who's going to be in charge? I assume it's going to be you while you're alive and able. But what happens when you get a little crazy or senile or crazy on Tuesday afternoons, or you start going out and buying 18 Corvettes when you got nobody to drive them? Then what do we do? What happens when you do die? Who's going to be the one in charge of the assets to do as you originally planned, to act like you would act? Who's going to literally control those assets? And do you want to wait, 6 months for a judge to appoint his best friend to manage your stuff and charge you $5,000 a month? Or do you want to just have that choice in place already? It's very easy to say, well, my sister's the responsible one, not the one who goes out and shops at Neiman Marcus every day and has 50 Amazon packages in her entryway. Not that one, the other one, the other sister. So you get to pick who. And what if both sisters aren't any good? Well, then you pick your best friend. You can pick anybody to be the manager in your temporary or permanent absence. You also get to pick the beneficiaries, again, the good kids, not the ones that are out there doing bad things or married, and if they're married to the wrong person or living with the wrong person, you don't want them arguing over the goodies when they get a divorce or when they go to court. It doesn't happen in this kind of trust. It doesn't happen because they
literally have that happening in my life. Yeah. Very close friends of ours were getting divorced, and one of them, their parents passed and left them. The parents had a trust. The beneficiaries, one of the spouses, I don't want to say which one, and now there's an argument as to, because they liquidated some assets, who gets paid for that, who gets the money for that, who gets, the mother before she passed said she wanted to give the house to one of the spouses. They're arguing over whether that's enforceable or not. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Just to go back and clarify, you mentioned buying 18 Corvettes, so that would be a bad thing. Buying 17 Corvettes is okay, but 18 is one too many. Is that?
Yeah, they're a special. Well, you don't want to buy two of the same color.
There you go.
That way you have justification for having the 18 Corvettes, different colors for different days.
Very good. Okay, so thank you. I've got some good questions there. Anybody else have any questions? Put in the chat box. I don't see any hands raised, or if you're brave enough, you can unmute yourself and just jump in the question. And then if you're watching I see on YouTube, we got a what's up? Well, if you put a comment in live while we're live streaming, you're going to get shown on the live stream back. So, hey, it's Diggs, BTW, welcome. Okay, anybody else have any questions, comments, challenges I can help with today, or EJ can help with today to help you guys with your business? Again, the goal here, I'm not selling their service. I'm not an affiliate with them in any way. I just think it's a great organization. They work with very successful people. And I think if you're around successful people, you're going to help yourself be more successful, whether it be value you bring to your clients or value you bring to your own business and your own family finances. Any other questions before we let EJ go?
I'm going to just jump in because EJ is really good at this. EJ, could you explain the benefits of using the trust as a real estate investor? Because that's always a good question for people to have. And then what these trusts do if you need to open up private bank accounts.
Well, number one, by having each investment, whether it be a real estate or otherwise, separated, it doesn't commingle your whole portfolio with everything you do and everything you talk about, and it isolates. Conceivably, not all investments go great. So if you pour money into one investment and then things go wrong, you're looking at a limited amount of walking away. Secondarily, of course, they could sue you and they might sue you, but it would be limited to that one particular asset. The secondary thing is it's easier to trade that asset or exchange it for somebody else's don't want asset. And again, without extra costs or even time. I mean, you can literally do it in a day, no sweat. The idea of having the various investments separated also eliminate your step up in capital gains, problems or property taxes going and getting reassessed, and takes away the problems from inheritance tax and worries about do we have to pay the medical bills before we can deal with the inheritance tax and all that stuff. It's just not at all in the picture. A lot of people even actually do a 1031 like exchange. We'll have people who say, I've got my property in trust, it's yours in trust, and separate it from your other assets. And then once they figure it out, or once they decide to put it into trust, then you can exchange those two trusts like a 1031 exchange, but without all the rules and the problems that go along with the, time limits, things that happen like that. So
Nice.
that's a big benefit.
Related to that question, we got a question from a really new investor, which is really who we're looking to help out here, I think, primarily. And so he asks, new investor, are you saying we better to put each property in an asset protection trust versus an LLC? So you just answer the question versus a living trust. I think the answer is the same, but I'd rather me answer it, I'd rather have you answer it. Are you saying that an asset protection trust is advantageous? Because I know that investors are told, new investors are told all the time to get an LLC. I see that presented as if that's the only tool to buy. So can you compare a little bit about the advantage to a real estate investor buying an asset protection trust versus an LLC?
Yeah, of course, certain LLCs are better than others, but again, you have to register them in the ownership of the property state as well. So that pretty much takes away that benefit. But you got the annual fees, annual tax returns, annual reports, annual rules to follow if you go the LLC route. When you get 5 or 10 properties, that gets to be pretty expensive and pretty managerial. The effort is just so high. Whereas with the trust, there's nothing that goes on at the end of the year. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to report to anybody. You don't have to do a tax return on it. You still got to pay taxes. Nothing wrong with, but the taxes are passed through to the individual normally. So it doesn't change your tax status in reporting. You don't have to pay extra tax returns. So, and if the property isn't making any money, there's nothing to report. So the fact that you can have a lot easier management and a lot less cost, and the fact that you're not worried about violating 2 laws in 2 different states, that's nice. So we really like that. We have a lot of people that come to us that already have 4 LLCs, and they want to know, well, should I dump all those? Well, not necessarily. If first of all, if you have enough money and have enough profit and stuff, that's a minor difference in cost. But if you're not using them, or if you just got the property, or if you're going to get a new property, I'd certainly put it into a new trust, not into an LLC. We're not here to sell you new organizations, new corporations, right, trusts, or LLCs. Right.
And I think people are, I talk to investors all the time. They tell me they're so excited about their LLC and they have a house yet. It's like, you need LLC within 10 days. The property is hard to finding a good deal. But so let's talk about the private asset trust. If I was an investor ready to buy property, what's the typical turn time that I need to prepare with you properly to go from, all these good ideas?
Well, we tell people 24 hours or 48 hours, but usually we do it within an hour because it's so easy. And I don't want to have to write down the notes when I can just do it, send it to them, and it's done. It's faster than writing down the notes and hoping I remember to do it in 2 or 3 days. Wow. It's much easier just to do it. We like to have 0 backlog. That's our internal promise to ourselves, because I really hate trying to remember the conversation from 3 or 4 days ago. I look at my notes, which are very extensive, but that doesn't always answer every little question I should have asked. So it's much easier to do it. And then if I don't have all my answers, I can call the client right back within an hour and say, oh, by the way, what about this? What about that? And it's easier just to do it. I have people call me all the time. They're at a car dealership. They want to buy a car. What's the name of the trust? They say, well, what kind of car are you buying? They tell me, and then we say, okay, how about the AJ-JJ-2022 Mercedes Holding Trust? And they say yes, no, or whatever. And then they try and buy it that way. And if the dealer says to them, oh, I've never done this before, I don't know how to do it, and say, well, let me talk to that guy. And then when I talk to him, I say, who's your finance guy? I'll talk to him. And then when I talk to the finance guy, I say, look, it's real simple. If you don't put this car in trust when they buy it, they're not going to buy the car. Now, I will help you with anything you need at no charge, but they want to put this car in trust. And if they see you're an obstacle, they're going to take and go somewhere else. And I'll tell them a dealership in another state that has no sales tax where they can buy that car cheap. So, nice. They always cooperate. I don't even have to get to the point where it sounds threatening, because the fact is they want to sell a car. And they will do it. All they want to do is make sure they get the paperwork in a way that fits with DMV, and we're all happy, and the insurance is on the car before they drive away. And that's easy. That's all part to do it. And we create that trust literally on the fly in most cases. But all they really need is the name. If they just have the name of the trust, that's all they need.
So look, AJ's been fantastic getting this information, but by no means would I expect anybody, just like a doctor can't prescribe on a call like this. You've opened up to great ideas and opportunities for more growth. Anybody's on the call today, the website is truetrustservices.com if you want more information. Eric, are anybody from your team going to be at the LA Grand Expo on Sunday?
No, we weren't planning to go. That we heard about
Okay.
that, but I'm about
Okay.
trick-or-treating with the kids. So
Okay, well, my only child's grown up, so, and my grandchild is 8 weeks old, so we're kind of in between the trick or treat stage. I'll be at the LA Grand Expo, so if you're there to see me, come by and say hi. But you can get the information at truetrustservices.com. Any other place that you would direct them, Eric, as far as more information if they're
Yeah, I'd like to have everybody get a brochure. We're not a company that pesters people. So we send you a brochure, and if we get 2 minutes to talk, or you want to ask us questions for 20 minutes, that's fine. But we don't call back unless you ask us to. So if you ask for a brochure, it gives that, not only that chart, which is not quite up to date, the newest version, I'll get it to you. But we'll email that to anybody. We'll answer questions for free, take 20 minutes to make sure they understand everything. We don't want anybody doing anything unless they feel comfortable and they feel, they understand what they're doing. And once they've got that, it makes it so easy. A lot of people, they don't call us back for 6 months, that happens, whatever, but we're not going to pester them with emails and a bunch of other stuff. We just don't do it.
Well, EJ, it's been a pleasure to have you on the call. Thank you so much. And Eric, thank you for arranging and getting your team on the call. Feel free to reach out to them on the website. There's a contact page. I'm glad to help as well. Just again, a reminder, this week on Sunday, even though it is, my Zoom has just been a mess the last week. I can't even share. But at LAGrandExpo.com, this Sunday, I think it's the premier real estate event of the year here in Los Angeles area. First time post-COVID. They'll have 500 or 600 people there. It's free at the Square Ball, free parking. It's 9 to 6 p.m. So you're not going to trick or treat all day long. Pick a time slot. I'll be there from about 12 to 3 o'clock. If you're there at that time, come by and say hi. Have you buy a cup of coffee or Coke, whatever you're selling. I'd love to talk to you and say hi and make contact. We do this call every week. It's probateweekly.com. We do it every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, time change next week, but we do it every week the same. You can see the past episodes on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Bill Gross EXP. Call, text, email if I can help in any way, let me know. Again, last time, thank you to EJ and your team. Eric, thank you for bringing everybody, making it happen. Everybody have a fantastic week. Thank you so much.